And we are live on the radio, and it is Tech Tuesday. It is 6 o'clock, and I am Gilbert. I am the Angry IT Nerd. I am your host, and this is the Helpdesk, and I am here with a full house today. We got a full house. With me, as always, is George, Techno George. And as always, the prettiest lady in all of the internets, the Trans Gretchen. And our special guest today, we've got Dwayne Heisler. So, how's everybody doing today? Doing good, George?
Wonderfully.
We're
doing wonderfully.
All right. Dwayne, it is an honor to have you on the show. Glad you could make it. So, what do you want to talk about? So George was telling me a little bit about
to preface this, Dwayne is you're a PA. Okay, I didn't know what your official title was.
Right.
If you want to go through that, and then
sure, but I feel like I should have some kind of IT name, to be honest. I feel like the one that doesn't belong. One of these things. Yeah. But my name's Dwayne. I live in Scranton, Pennsylvania. My day job is with the Pennsylvania Policy Center. I'm their campaign director for Pennsylvania Policy Center and Pennsylvanians Together. But I'm kind of a tech nerd too. I love technology.
Well, we're tech nerds, so you are in good company here.
You are in the right place.
You're in the right place at the right time.
So yes, we talk tech here. We talk nerd stuff. So it gets all over the place. So we go from cybersecurity to movies to anything and everything in between. So
cool. Sounds good.
Okay, so I met Mr. Heisler or if I can call you Dwayne, I met Dwayne at Jeff's wedding, and Jeff goes, "You got to meet this guy. You got to meet this guy. He's got this really cool tech." And I was like, "Okay." So I met Dwayne, and he has it on. It's it's an AI assistant, as I was. It's called Humane. It's Humane AI. And it is an AI assistant. It is. It has a camera on board.
It's really cool.
A projector to project information onto your hand. You can use your hand like a screen.
It's really cool.
Oh wow! And
really cool.
It has. I believe it interfaces with your cell phone, actually, it does have a plan where it is cellular. So it is a cellular device itself. You can get a separate phone number for it. You can make calls through it. You can receive calls through it. If you have Bluetooth, it will integrate with any Bluetooth device that you have. So I will let Dwayne, and I will let you talk, and there you go.
Sure. Well, it was a pleasure meeting you, and what a fantastic wedding with Jeff and Kristen. Really was wonderful, and but yeah, I wear this device all the time. It's my assistant. That's right, George got that right. It's called AI Pin, and the idea behind this is that you can stay in the moment. It's not meant to necessarily replace a cell phone or a smartphone or any other device. It's just kind of a standalone assistant. Although you are correct, you can make a phone call from it. You can receive phone calls from it. You can send and receive text messages to it as well. But that's not its primary function. Its primary function is answering questions and having conversations and figuring out the world around you without having to leave the moment. I like when, for example, I was in a meeting in Washington and someone asked how a certain congressman voted on the Affordable Care Act. And while three people went to look it up on their PC, I just touched my little button and asked my AI device, and it told me right away. And everyone stopped and said, "What is that?" Which was pretty funny, pretty remarkable. It's also helped me too. I was coming back from Atlanta, and I was in the little Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, the Avoca Airport, and there was a person there who was speaking another language, did not speak English. They were having a problem with the security guard, and I was able to just hold two fingers down. It identified the language, translated it to English, and then the security guard was able to speak with the person after I held two fingers down for them. So it automatically translated every language as well. which can be novel, fun, but that was actually a practical use for it in that moment. I was like, oh wait, I can do this. And of course,
Okay. So I've got to ask. I've got to ask then, since you're on the verge of giving us the universal translator. I have seen one or two episodes of Star Trek in my time. Are we in danger of having to defeat this AI with some kind of logical fallacy, or
Said, do we need to
some
know
kind of logical
tic-tac-toe?
paradox?
Said, do we need to know
Can we
tic-tac-toe?
beat it with? Can we beat it with tic-tac-toe?
Yeah, that's funny. I'm a big Trekkie fan too, by the way. So love Star Trek in all of its forms. I would say that I think we are really at the edge. I mean, between quantum computing, artificial intelligence, we're really at the edge of another revolution, and I feel that there's no going back from it. And so, although a lot of my coworkers and colleagues are hesitant and afraid, and there's a lot of downsides to it, like the amount of energy that AI needs and all those things, I kind of feel like I need to kind of push the boundary and figure it out for myself, and also to see how I can embrace it to do the most good that we can in a world, in a country that's so divided. And so that's kind of my mission with it, to see how it can help me through my work. And that being said, you do need to be careful with it too. We've gotten into a few arguments, which has been pretty remarkable. I've even had it apologize to me, and it promised me that it wouldn't gaslight me again. So there's that.
That it understands that it's gaslighting. But I mean, I guess, the device that you're showing us, it's not as scary as like a giant dragon head carved into a mountain that we have to throw food into every so often, or it'll shoot lightning or something, So
there are some built-in features for that. And by the way, you are nerds. I'm a D&D fan, so there's that too. Yep, there we go. All right, yeah, I'm up for the Forgotten Realms. So, but
absolutely,
yeah,
Faye run for the win.
So, they do have some built-in mechanisms, though, to help you feel more comfortable with it. The device is not on unless you activate it. So unlike your Siri, who listens all the time, and apparently listens to more than what we thought it was listening to,
correct,
in recent news, right? It's only on when you activate it. And when you activate it, it does have a camera, as George said. I can record short bursts of video with it, and it automatically horizon corrects. Photos are okay. It does the same thing, can take like 3 photos of anything. I don't use those features much, but when you do use it, like if I ask it to describe a room for me, you'll see this light come on the top, which they call a trust light, so that everyone can see, oh, this device is active. It's currently filming or doing something around its environment, to kind of let everyone else who can see it know that it is activated and it is on. So it's not like feeding the dragon, but it does let you know that it's around.
Well, you're still giving me other nerd references, because my thought is like, okay, now it's got a Q light, so we can find our way back to the ship when it blows us out the airlock.
Exactly. So, all right. So I mean, there's one for AI. So, all right, we'll give you that one. If we ever get.
So my question is this something you developed and created? Or just a rent for the company, or what's your involvement with it?
No, I saw it. I'm not quite sure where I saw it. Somewhere on social media. It could have been, probably not Facebook, maybe Twitter, or it might have been on TikTok that I saw it.
And what's it called?
So it's called the AI device, the AI pin. It's called the AI pin. It's by a company called Humane, which was started by 2 Apple employees that spun off and decided to build their own product. Now, from the first day, there were problems with it, and I got on early on. And I have to tell you, there is definitely a learning curve with how to use it, like to even just to get into the device, to use the liquid display, which George was explaining, how it will show up in green on my hand, whatever I'm talking with. Like if you're in a crowded room and it's hard to hear, or you don't want others to hear it, you can immediately hold up your hand and it will begin typing on your hand, showing you a display on your hand about what was said. Also, there's a website you could go to with another device, and you can see a complete log of everything you asked and everything it answered, and you can copy and paste from there and do whatever you want. with your other device. But it was something that I mean, way back when dinosaurs roamed, I got a degree in computer information sciences. Even though I'm not directly involved in that kind of work, it has really prepared me for my whole career. Just the way that I look and think about things and break things down and move through the world like I do. And so finding a device like this, I was intrigued with AI from the beginning. As a Star Trek fan, you would be, and decided, you know what, I'm going to give this a chance. And the fact is, you can spend, as you know, a lot of money on a smartphone, right? Like this device was $800, and it's $20 a month, but it's unlimited text and phone calls. I don't know if there's very many plans out there that are, can do that with, having AI connections and all of that. But it is a, new technology. So it's going to have like when the first smartphones came out, there wasn't much it could do. And then it was like, oh God, all I want to do is make a phone call. Can this please make a phone call for me? Right. It was
Right,
so bad. I remember that.
Right.
It was. So yeah, that's how I decided. That's how I approached it. I saw it. I was intrigued and decided I was going to figure this thing out and see if I could use it. And I find out that I use it just about every day.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I'm sure that
I had seen that you had an NFC bracelet on. Now the NFC is it's a near field communication device.
Yeah, it's this right here. Yeah, I'm becoming a cyborg, so there's another one, Borg. Right? Yeah, this is right here. It's by an organization called DOT. Yeah.
Yeah. So instead of handing somebody a business card, you could take your smartphone, you put it to the device, and it basically comes up on your smartphone, and it has all the information that you programmed into it. I found something online on the App Store. You can also get it on the Google Play Store. It's called NFC Tools. Now, NFC Tools allows you to read the device, also to write to the device. The NFC Tools allows you to lock the device if you want to lock it, so that nobody else can, take it or erase it, or you can't erase it by accident. But I found, so let's see, the DOT, I think the DOT one. I saw that one. I saw that one on Amazon. I've been seeing these NFC tags that they sell on Amazon, and like 50 tags, for $13, which is not too bad. And basically it's just it's like I think it's about a 1.5 inch in diameter disc. It has a chip. So the chip is basic. It would hold 453 bytes of information, I believe it is. And the disc itself it's round. I'm like going, well, if the chip is that small, why does the outer diameter of the disc have to be so large? That's where they put the antenna. So they basically put the antenna all the way around that. It all circles around it. They make some that look like business cards as well that you can buy. You can actually print your business card, and I'm like going, why would I print my business card when I can just have somebody take their phone and put it to the card? I mean, it would be good for like a vendor, like if you're at a show or something like that, and you did that. When I was in
business
security,
cards, though.
I'm sorry.
I mean, people still print business cards, though. I mean, I thought Vistaprint was so 2005.
I still do business cards, but I do this because I always forget them. And if I'm wearing it, I won't forget it. And you can shower with it. It's just a bracelet, like a rubber bracelet. So there's not much to it. And I think it's really about the idea of wearables, right? Like you have glasses, you have the ring that can, take.
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
Commercials for that one too. Yeah.
You got this AI pin. All wearable items, and I think we're just going to see more and more of that. You hear about the development of smart materials and paints and things like that.
Yes.
Why not put on your coat that's going to charge your cell phone, right? And wear that if you're going on a long trip versus something else. So I think the idea is that you can be fully human and still have all these things. Like when I walk my dog, I don't need to get out my phone to do anything. I can just touch this button and say, "Hey, what's in the news right now?" and it'll tell me. And if I want a little bit of a deep dive, I ask the question and we go at it, right? And I'm walking the dog and I have both my hands free and don't have to worry about any of that.
Another thing that he showed me at the wedding was he stood in the lobby of the hotel because the wedding was in the Bethlehem Hotel, and he said, describe to me, everything in the lobby, and I was like, that's Jordy's visor. It's like Jordy's visor looking at stuff, and it basically scanned everything and said, well, there's a Christmas tree here, there's a desk here, there's people sitting here, there's a guy playing the piano there, there's this, and it described everything. I was like going, so it's good for people who are either blind or
Right.
limited vision, and so it could be something like that. But then, I mean, I would say it was, would be good for older people, but if they can't, well,
I mean,
if they can't remember to use the device, then it's kind of mute there. So,
well, yeah, no, I mean, but if you could set it up to where it essentially like it is to, they could ask a question in the way that it's phrased for them,
right?
And the AI assistant, it has gotten to the point where it knows, it's familiar with, the way that they ask a question, the phrasing.
It's familiar with you.
Exactly.
It's kind of like a Jarvis,
Right?
It's kind of like,
like a Jarvis type of thing. Yeah.
Tony Stark knows that he does, all this, and it basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he knows that when he asks about this question, he knows that the answer would be, exactly what Tony would want the answer to that. So it would be kind of the same way if somebody older would ask, it knows it's tailored to that person.
Right.
So yeah, I can, definitely, I can see that. I mean, it wouldn't be
AI. I mean,
Mhm.
I use it. I've used it for things like I was on my way to an event and very busy, and I forgot that I was one of the speakers. I'm like, oh damn! Like oh, what am I going to do? And I knew that I didn't have much time, but what I did was I tapped it and said, hey, give me 3 talking points about blah, and it did, and that just helped to inform me as I'm driving down about what I could touch on then, as I'm doing, and I could do it while I was driving. Just touch it and ask the question, right? Just have the conversation with it. Tell me a little bit more about this, and it will. But I asked it, like, where's the closest place? Where's the cheapest place to buy almond milk near me? And it'll tell me this grocery store, and it's located on this address, and here's the phone number for it, or whatever. But then, I had it right. It knows who my dog is. I have a little dog. It's a Basenji. His name is Zephyr. It knows his name. It knows it's a Basenji. And I asked it once to write I told it to write a poem about waiting on Christmas Day, and so it wrote a little poem for me. It's AI, right? So it wrote a little poem. I got back, I copy pasted it, made some edits to it, and then posted that as like, here's a little poem from my dog waiting for Christmas Day. It was a fun thing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
It really is. It's an assistant, and so I don't know about you, but I always have questions about the world around me. I hear a word and I don't know the definition of it.
Oh, all the time.
Oh yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
And it's just so easy to do that, right? Like to just say, oh, what is that word? I haven't heard it before, and have it do that, or have it be creative. Like I had it. I forget what were the names. I was trying to find funny names about something, so I had it kind of give funny names. I'm like, you know what? That's not too funny. Try again. And then it, it got better as it did it. But it's not only informational and helpful in a real way, but it can also be kind of fun too and creative.
That sounds
Is
like
that-
it. I mean,
okay,
I could have
yeah.
used like the speech writing stuff for like every oral report I ever had in school that I never studied for. Like on the bus, like, okay, I need 3 talking points about World War II aircraft.
So, right?
Here, I'll do
Like something like that, you know, give me a good talking point and I could just wing the rest of it. I'm good.
Doing the rest of it.
I could probably demonstrate for you. Like I just got finished reading this book on tyranny. It's part of the work that I'm doing by
I've read the book. Mhm.
Oh, you've read it. Okay, so let me just, in the book on tyranny, can you give me 2 talking points that are brief?
Finding book talking points. 2 talking points from On Tyranny are defend democratic institutions to safeguard freedom and recognize and critically examine powerful symbols and rhetoric used by authoritarian leaders.
There we go.
That's
So
cool.
you're basically standing on the bridge of the Enterprise going, computer.
Basically, yeah. Yeah.
That's right.
That's
That's all you're doing.
yeah, all right.
I mean,
So
it almost sounds like Majel Barrett. Like,
Almost.
it's almost there. Yeah. So okay.
The thing I liked about the projection when you project it onto your hand, it reminded me of Sequest DSV, where the captain has that. He has that AI thing in his office with the like the smoke that comes down, the vapor comes down.
Yeah.
And it basically.
I would have been
Oh,
so
and look at
cool,
that.
like,
His-
it was
And
You see it?
if
it
anybody
was like a
anybody can watch
secret
it,
that you had giving those oral reports in school, and your teacher sees you doing this, and then she's like, "Oh, did you write notes on your hand?" You're like, "No, there's nothing there.
yeah.
It's blank." See,
Now see something like that. I would need something like that when I was in
staring at
school.
my hand for inspiration. That's
So what? No, like I'm not.
do the
I
Ricky Bobby. Like, I don't know what to do with my hand.
such as I
I'm
don't
really
know
just
what to
reading my
do.
report right in my hands.
Gretchen just wants one so she can execute Order 66. That's all she wants. I know that.
I don't.
I mean,
don't execute.
say, look,
I mean,
So look, Gretchen. Look,
give the order.
so Gretchen.
Oh, get the order.
Gretchen may or may not execute Order 66. That all depends. That all depends on how she feels that day. Oh, but I mean that's an amazing AI tool, and I will give you this. That's one thing I will say that's not going to get me on my old man on shaking the fist at the cloud. AI is evil moment. This AI, I will give it that. This was a good one. This is along the lines of like Skeets from Booster Gold or Glitch from Reboot. Now that's going back.
I'll give anything a chance, but the minute it asks me, "What are you doing, Gretchen?" I'm throwing it
Then
out the window.
it's like I'm gone.
Out the window.
So
So
the
I
way
can't-
that it stays attached, there's a magnet on the back of it. So it's actually like 2 pieces. So this is the main device, and it has its own power supply. And then the magnet, this is magnetic. That part is a backup power supply for it. So and you get 2 of these with it, and so it sits in its little cradle. And so when this one wears out, you get the other one, so you can have 24 hours of. It just keeps going. Although I find that because they've made some improvements to it, in the beginning it wasn't like this, but they made some improvements to it in terms of its power use, that I can go pretty much all day with just this right here and not have to swap out the battery to do that. So
Now we
that's
can
kind of-
really appeal to the older folks, and we can make commercials and call it clip on, clip off, the clipper.
All right.
Yeah.
I know that's good. I mean, for anybody that that they don't like using like safety pins or anything like that, or you poke yourself, and it's just clip magnet anywhere else on your shirt or a hoodie, jacket, or anything like that. Yeah, that's super
it was
convenient. I
one
love
of
it.
the things
I do
with,
like that.
Because people always said to me, because I was making I'm still making movie props, but when like Next Generation came out and they had like the communicator pin, it had the 2 backs where you have to put the pin through your clothing, and I said, well, what if it was, if it, was, like a magnetic pin, and it could
Well, they
just.
should be. I mean, when I bought my
Yeah.
Star Trek Command uniform just like last year, like this is, and it's well made, and it's high quality. I'm like, why am I pinning the badge on? You couldn't make it magnetic? I should just be able to pull it off and put it on. Like,
So it has
Right.
2 different clips. This is an example of one of them. In case you're wearing a really heavy coat that the magnet doesn't quite go through. And by the way, it has never fallen off or has been, and I've been wearing it for months. And so it's not a flimsy magnet. It's pretty strong. You just kind of like put this right on it, and now you can just clip it, onto a collar or onto your jacket. And then this is the cradle for the power supply for it. This is the end, which they make it travel friendly, so the plug backs up. And then this sits flat, but this is what it looks like.
It's a
Okay.
It's a QI charger.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's like a
which
wireless
charges
It was
in the
wireless.
center.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it sits really nicely and flat. It comes packaged very much like an Apple product too. The nice boxes and there should be like a spotlight on it or something. I don't know, but it's there, and so that's kind of the whole kit. You can get a smaller one of the clips that works better for really sheer materials, like if you're wearing like a silky blouse or something. And so it's a much lower profile kind of clip then that fits better onto something like that, where you don't want to necessarily have the back.
oh yeah,
Okay.
probably.
That is
Especially,
pretty cool.
yes,
That-
stuff I would wear in the summer, really thin fabrics or silky stuff, blouses and stuff like that. That would work well.
So now
Yeah,
that I
that's-
disconnected
All for
the
it.
power supply from it, it's locked. So I have to unlock it. Now I've developed a code with it using my hands, as opposed to trying to do the hand thing this way. That's another way to unlock it. But my code is just like a few symbols that I do, and now it's open and it's working. It's unlocked.
That's pretty cool.
Okay, that is
Almost
pretty
like,
cool.
I don't know that Apple has it. Well, they might now. I haven't tried, but Android phones had it for a while. I mean, yeah, when you did the keypad to turn it on,
Oh,
you just
yeah.
swipe
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
You didn't have to hit each button. You could just swipe it.
Right.
It was
Mhm.
a pattern, so there's something like that. But yeah, symbols would work. And that was years ago. You could say years, like 5-6 years ago. We're
Yeah,
to a point now where it's going to
Mhm.
know. I could just say, hey, eventually it's going to be like, hey, wake up, and it's going to know it's me without a doubt. No one else is going to be able to access it. It's going to know who's talking to it. So, because it'll be paired with you. Like you said, Dwayne, that they're going to be connected to us specifically. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
it's like you said, I can just say, hey, Siri. Yeah, there she is. Shut up. I wasn't
Yeah,
talking
well,
to you.
one of the things was early on I was asking it for the news, and it would say, oh, you can get your news here and here and here. I'm like, no, I'm not getting the news. I want you to get the news. I'm like, look, you're connected to all this stuff. Had the conversation, like sat it down and said, hey, when I ask for the news, this is what I'm looking for. And then it started to provide that for me, right? There was a while where it wasn't quite getting the name of my dog or the type of my dog, and it wasn't and then I gave it, it's like, whenever I ask this question, this is the answer I'm looking for, right? Like, give it some kind of some footholds in what you want to do, right. Some places to move from. I think eventually what you'll be able to do is, like, they do a demonstration of someone holding a bunch of almonds, and they say, how many calories is this? And then they say, I'm going to eat this. How many calories have I had so far today? Right? Like I think eventually you'll be able to hold up a book and say, give me the summary on this. How much does this cost? Buy it for me.
Yeah, and I could definitely see how something like that would be very useful for anybody that is in the gym, that works out, is into fitness. It's able to, track your reps, track your sets, to, if you have it turned on to the camera, then it could examine your form to let you know where you need to, lift your arm higher, lift your leg higher, or
right. Or for
lift your
our mutual
balance
friend
coat,
with the new vibrating plate thing, like you should spread your feet a little wider.
right, or
Is too high.
bend your knees, bend your knees a little bit, keep your back straight, something, like things like that, little things like that, yeah.
As long as it doesn't start trying to like keep me in the kitchen like iRobot, like it's time to stay home for your own safety. You cannot leave the house. Like, okay, all right, what's going on?
Right.
So George, you mentioned
I want to be a user, not a feeder of Vol.
Exactly.
George, you mentioned this bracelet, and exchanging information. One of the features that I like about it that I haven't found yet, if someone else has a bracelet and we're exchanging information, if you already have that, it'll tell you some context. So George, if you had this device and we were exchanging information, it just wasn't here's my card, but you were giving me yours as well.
Right.
It would say where we met in the Bethlehem Hotel.
Right. Yeah. I saw that.
Which
Similar
is
to AirDrop is like that, right? I mean, it gives you that kind of
context, right?
Well,
right.
That's like the
tagging.
pictures when you're taking pictures, with your iPhone. It
Where
shows
you
you
were,
where
the
you
time
took
of
the
the day.
picture. It took you like the date or whatever. Because like my wife will say, "Well, where did we take that picture?" And I'll go, "Wait a minute." And it was funny because when I did the update, I had taken pictures in England when I went to England for a friend's wedding, and those were cataloged in an Apple device. I think it was iPhone 3. When I got my 14, I'm like, okay, when I did the update updated all those pictures, and it went out. I guess it must have went out to I don't know if it went out to the internet, but it went into the archives that I had, and it basically tagged all those pictures with the dates and then with the locations. So I guess the locations were automatic. I guess because because I was in England, location services were turned on for the phone. So I think I was using WhatsApp, to call everybody because I was just using Wi-Fi. But it found all the pictures. Now all the pictures on my phone have a date on them, have a location. It'll show me a map, of where I took the picture. And it's really, it's like scary, but it's really cool at the same time. So.
Well, I mean, that's like, I've told people this before. Like I used to, before I woke up and realized that there's more to life, I used to run with a group of people. There's a handful of people, the gun nuts, right? The ones that are like, we got to stock up. We got to prepare for the end of the world. So when society breaks down, we can run to the woods. Never mind the fact that as many times as I told them I didn't get it. Like, what are you going to do when all of the unmanned nuclear power plants melt down and contaminate the entire environment? Never mind that. Anyway, it's like these are the people that were so against like gun registration. Like, I don't want to be on a list. Like, dude, you've got a social security number. You're making posts on Facebook from your smartphone saying, I don't want to be on a list. You just put yourself on 1,000 lists.
Right?
Everything we do, Catwoman said it best in The Dark Knight Rises. Everything we do is correlated and quantified. It is in a database somewhere. And we're beyond hiding from that now. We're beyond it.
Yeah.
We can track people better now than they could in Star Trek.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I'll just take off my badge and put it on the table. Nobody can find me. Like, there's not cameras at every corner, every hallway on the ship.
Yeah, I remember.
Right.
I used to get a magazine. It was an offshoot of Starlog. It was called Future World or Future something. But
Future
I remember
State?
before cell phone.
I know what you're talking about. I don't remember the name, but I know what you're talking
about. It was before cell phones. We had cordless phones, and they were going to create a network that you could use your cordless phone from your house in the street. And I said, oh, that's really cool, because we had those really big Uniden handsets, the one with the antenna. You pull out the antenna, and everything. And that was the technology at the time. It was 900 megahertz, I remember. And I was like going, wow, they're going to create this network, so you could just walk out of your house and have your phone in the car. It could be, and a friend of mine, my friend John McCallum, and I were talking one time. We were talking about the show Cannon. The guy's like an investigator, and he had a telephone in his car, and I was like, "That's so cool." But he had a dial telephone. He had the Motorola one, and if you go and if you look at the trunk and you open up the trunk, it had this huge transceiver. I mean, this thing looked like an army transceiver in the trunk with the antenna, and it was it was one of the first mobile phone networks. You like dial it.
Didn't the Bat phone in the 1966 Batman TV show have like an actual receiver? Like he picked it up and held
yes.
Like
Yes.
1970s phones.
Yes.
Like, hello.
Yep.
Like, I don't know that there was a dial on it, but it was a base. It had a coil cord, just like my headset here, just like hello.
Had the big.
Yeah, I had the coil and everything.
I was a senior in high school, which was 91, 92. My math teacher at the time, my remedial math teacher, whatever, refresher math, I don't know what I was taking because I was doing most of our classes, but used to bring his car phone in, and it was in a huge briefcase.
Oh,
disconnect it from his phone, lock it up in his briefcase, and carry it in because people were stealing that stuff, and he had one stolen. No one could figure out why they would steal this car phone because you couldn't use it anywhere in the car. You had to have something installed. You couldn't just plug it into your cigarette lighter.
Right.
You had to have like a receiver built into the car and it plugged into it. But yeah, the thing was huge.
Yeah, the one I bought for my dad when he had his investigator. He had a private investigation agency after he got out of the police department. I remember going to the store and they were selling cell phones. I bought him the Panasonic one, and it was it was like a smaller. It looked kind of like a laptop. It had a handle on it. It had this huge battery, and then it had the phone, but it was a full handset. Like you could pick it up and like take it out, and it had a cord and everything. But it had a little flip-up antenna. It looked, it was portable, but so.
Well, yeah, and like you were saying a minute ago, the first cell phones, the real big ones that you pulled the wire, the antenna out of, those things that looked like the radios they were using in Vietnam.
Right.
That the soldiers were using in the woods, to like call in airstrikes.
Oh no, yeah, absolutely.
It was this big, and they're like,
hold on, because the first cell phone was it my mom or my dad? I think it was my mom was one of the big gray ones with the antenna. On it. Yeah, the big gray one looked like a brick.
They had that diagonal down, diagonal shape to it.
Had the
big
brick.
Yeah,
the big brick. Yes.
Those things are like sought after now. Those things are like $2,000, like on eBay. If you had one of those,
it's like if I still had it, then
I still had it.
Well, if I still had it, it'd be sold by now. I'm just.
Oh wow, you had one of those in the '90s, Wayne? I had a pager. I thought that was special.
I had one of.
Oh, I had a pager as well. Yeah.
It was called a Rex, and it was supposed to be like it's like the size of a credit card, and you would slide it into your computer slot and to download data. I used to do. I did a lot of training work, and this was like Stephen Covey, Franklin, like the 7 Habits, Highly Effective, all that. And so it was a way of mimicking your Rolodex with all your contacts in it. But it had a feature for notes in it. And so what I would do when I was doing my training is I would put my bullet points on it, get up in front of the classroom or the lecture hall or wherever I was speaking, and I'd pull out this little credit card and I'd be talking, holding a credit card. Now, people do this all the time now with their phones, right? But this was back in the 90s I was doing this, and people were like, what are you doing? What are you looking? And they were just amazed at how much information was on this credit card that they
remember. I think I remember that thing.
And it's got graphics on it that are not quite Game Boy level.
Exactly.
First gen Game Boy level.
Right.
those old games that just had one screen, and it was just like a dude, like you play Donkey Kong in your little handheld unit, and it would only be there were already pre-programmed images on the screen, and it would just based on where you moved. Slightly more advanced than the red dot football handhelds of the 80s, but
Oh, right, yeah.
So
that was something that always raised an eyebrow in front of a group. You ended up giving a demonstration over lunch about what it did. But I was always trying to find solutions for myself. Right, I could be printing all this stuff out, carrying it in a piece of paper, or I could, well, there weren't very many choices. Those were the options, right? Print it out if you wanted to. You had to print it out. I'm like, and then you forget it. And this was a credit card. It fit right in my wallet. I was like, whoa, this is making life a little bit easier.
I had a PDA when I was at Intel, and my cube was in the middle building, my lab was in another building, and every morning I go get my bagel, my energy drink, downstairs at the kiosk. I go upstairs, get my PDA, stick it in the in the cradle, hit a button, it would grab all my emails, put it to the PDA, grab my PDA, put it in my pocket, take my bagel and my energy drink and go to my lab. Do all that stuff, get it all done, and then at lunch, I'd go back to my desk, put my PDA in there, hit it again because I answered all my emails and stuff, and it would just send them all out, and it was really cool. It saved me a lot of time trying to access because the lab I was in was closed. It was a closed lab for testing, so I had to build computers and build servers and all this other stuff. But the PDA actually helped. I remember getting it at Computer City, and I was going, I don't know if I need a PDA. And then I just couldn't do anything without it. I had all my contacts in there. I didn't have a cell phone. I had a pager, I remember. I had a Motorola pager. And my boss would always say, "Why aren't you in the lab?" I don't see you in the lab because there was a camera in the lab, and I would always turn the camera away from where I was sitting. I just didn't want him breathing down my neck because he would call me every 5 minutes. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? I'm like, I'm trying to do my work. Leave me alone. I will try to do my work. And and
so what do you do? I'm answering the phone, talking to a jackass. That's what I'm doing.
I'm talking to you, not doing my work. Yeah, it's like.
I see me after a while.
Jay Thomas brought up in the YouTube chat though about the transparent landline phones.
Oh yeah, I remember those.
See the guts through the plastic case.
Yeah, I remember those. And
they were like the next best thing after a Swatch.
Oh no, listen, I'm gonna tell you like this. All right, when I was a kid and we had a rotary phone, when the day came that we had a push button phone, oh, you couldn't tell me shit. And then
remember you got call waiting?
Oh, caller ID.
Felt like an executive.
No, caller ID. When you got caller ID, I had caller ID. That changed the game.
Oh yeah, because caller ID should be renamed to I ain't answering that.
Exactly.
I ain't answering that.
Say, ooh, I don't know who that is. Oh, I know who that is.
I know exactly who that is. And I probably owe them money, so I'm not answering it.
That's it. Exactly.
I need my electric to stay on for another week. I'm gonna see how long I can keep them at bay.
He'd be like, "Oh, I did not see your call." Lying.
Yeah, and then they try to star 67 their number, so it's comes up as unknown caller, and you're like,
it's like,
It says unknown. That's just like today. If it comes up as possible spam on my phone, I ain't answering that.
Oh yeah.
I used to when I did alarm systems. The frequent number I would call on my butt set was actually 957, and 957 would basically go to central office and ask the central office what the number it is. So if you were putting in phone lines for an alarm system, you had to make sure that there was going to be like a line that was going to be just for that alarm system. Or if it was a home alarm system, there was something called line seizure, where when the alarm had gone off, when the alarm went off, and it would actually seize that line and send the code to the alarm company, send that there was, like an alarm code. A lot of the stuff that I started doing after that was cellular. So there was a cellular board inside of the alarm system. So because thieves would always go, oh, they have a phone system and they have a phone line. We're going to cut the line. And then, the police are never going to be called. Well, the people who, got the more advanced system with the cell had a cell board in it and would actually still send it to the police. That's when cellular, started coming in. Mm-hmm. But I remember the old, the old dial butt sets were fun. I mean, those are really cool, to experiment with. And, I learned a lot, but I have my newer one. My newer one is smaller than original butt set. It does ISDN. It does cable. It does. I think it does all the network. It does all like the voice over IP stuff. So I'm gonna jump shortly. Thank you for. Oh, you're very, very welcome, Dwayne. Thank you so so much for staying on. And
so it was a pleasure meeting all of you and sharing my little advice. By the way, I have named it, and its name. And Gretchen, you might appreciate this. This name is Mimir. Mimir, if you look it up in D&D in the Outlands, it was a magical device that only worked in the Outlands, kind of floating around, and you would ask it questions, and it would tell you stuff. So I decided that fit pretty well. It was either going to be that or Denir or like Agma, the god of knowledge from that realm.
Yeah, and then just for the viewers out there who obviously know this stuff, the device in fifth edition D&D has an armor class of 22 and 25 hit points.
Ah, look at you! You're all over it. Oh, impressive. Well, I think my gate has just opened, so I'm gonna jump.
Thank you very much, Dwayne.
I appreciate you.
Safe planar travels.
Yeah.
Hey, appreciate you coming on the show, Dwayne.
Yep.
Take care.
Bye.
Take care.
That device is really cool.
That is pretty cool.
I've been looking at their website. It is very cool. It's scary. It's terrifying. It's frightening, but it's cool.
Yeah, it is. It is. But I said the way that Dwayne has his setup and the way he uses it for good. So I can appreciate that.
It would be good as an ocular implant.
Implants, I'm still
you go right ahead.
I'm not quite ready to go full Borg yet, but I mean, I just want to be clear. There are limits I have. Again, if my AI device says, "What are you doing, Gretchen?" I'm throwing it out the window.
Done.
If my smart ring shows weird writings when I hold it close to a fire, I'm throwing it in a volcano.
Done.
There are certain things that need to happen if it does things I don't expect it to do.
Done. Just I'm good. I don't need it anymore. I'm good. So yeah.
I thought about you, Gretchen, the other night. I was looking at Facebook, and they had the Mustafar play set for children, and it was these lava rocks, and the kid's on top of the lava rocks, and he's like burning. And
yeah,
it was called Mustafar play set. It was funny
for children.
No, it was it was
probably
a
meme.
It was a meme. It was a meme that was like,
gotcha.
It was hilarious.
Oh god, yeah. Yes, it was hilarious.
So I believe like Model Citizen is this Saturday, I think.
Oh, I didn't even know you'd had it started.
I do.
I was gonna try to do it this Saturday, I guess. I don't know what time you guys want to do this.
I thought
off
we had
on the weekends, so I mean, I don't have specific time frames. As long as it's not at 6 a.m., I ain't gonna be there at 6 a.m.
Okay.
So,
And not
So,
6 a.m.
yeah,
because
no.
I know that you get up in the afternoon from playing games all night. Red Dead Redemption 2. Come on.
I've actually been playing Ghost of Tsushima recently
Okay.
again, but no, because I work 7:30 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. Even when I sleep in, I'm usually out of bed and having coffee by 8. So I mean, like
Okay.
it's not like
So it's not like,
really.
but I thought we were going to do it at like 1 or 2.
One or two would be
1 or 2,
yeah,
something
would
like
be
that.
better. I don't know if James can join 1 and 2. I will ask him, but he said 11, but we usually have our meetings at 11. I think we're having a meeting this week at 11. So
Yeah.
GCPR meeting.
Yeah. I think we should be, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, good. I mean,
after holidays, yeah, so
I'm not the model builder like you are, like building full-fledged play sets in your house. I can't do that. But like I said, what I will do on the show is I still have in the box, and I've only shaved a couple of pieces. I haven't done anything with it yet, is my refit Enterprise. I will build that during the show until I get it done. So
Okay.
everybody can
I
watch
sent
me
you,
start this model and finish it eventually. Classic model, store-bought model.
I sent you through text Smooth On from the
You did, yes.
the mold rubber and the resin.
Yes, I did see those.
Smooth cast resin, and I
Today was
believe
such a nightmare
it's
at
called
work. I wasn't
Umu.
able to-
It's called Umu 30. So what I've done with my friend Eric Longstreet, he wanted to do greeblies. If you know what greeblies are for models, they are like little bits that make. They're like detailed pieces. You know, they could be hatches from tanks, wheels from tanks that are used in a lot of the Star Wars, models.
Mhm.
But he wanted to make a comprehensive categories of different greeblies, like pipes, wheels, certain things where he can attach them to different models and make models look better. And I had to show him how to mold stuff. So from that first meeting, he would come over my house and then he would make molds. So he started making molds. We started pouring the molds. He started getting these devices. I have like a vacuum pot. That I told Gilbert. It vacuums all the bubbles out of the mold rubber, so that those bubbles don't, so that they don't adhere to, or they don't form bubbles when you're trying to pour a casting. So there's no bubbles in your casting.
Mhm.
I also do it for like the clear resin for the kryptonite stuff. You don't want bubbles in there because then it looks like, oh well, he didn't vacuum the bubbles out. Usually vacuum bubbles out of the clear. So it pulls all the bubbles to the top. It pops them all, and then when it sets up nice and clear. No bubbles in the casting. That's usually what the vacuum pot is for. The pressure pot is basically when you're pouring your resin, into your molds. You use your pressure pot. It actually squeezes the bubbles down to a microscopic size in the center of the casting, so it's not along the edges, so you get no bubbles in your castings. They come out bubble free and they're very smooth. So that's what you want for your castings. So I showed this to Eric and all this other stuff. So now he's like a greebly making fool. I mean, he's making stuff like you can't believe. He's actually building a probe ship. It's the Alpha probe ship from Space 1999, but he's doing his own, and it's going to be like 6 feet long. This model, and it's huge. But he has all the little greeblies, and And he goes, "I'm so glad you gave me, the skills to do this." I was like, "You could have, figured it out on your own, but, you know." So with your Star Trek stuff, if you wanted to, say like you wanted another nacelle, like if you wanted to put like 3 engines on,
Right, like turn the Enterprise into a dreadnought.
right, yeah. If you wanted to do that, you could do that with the smooth on stuff. There are videos online. If you go to smoothon.com, they have videos. They show you how to make model pieces, how to make the molds, how to actually pour the molds. They have rotocasting as well if you're going to make helmets or if you're going to make armor or something like that. So they have so much stuff. I called them up one time because if you have a problem or if you're just a beginner, you can call them up on their 800 number and they know exactly what you're talking about. Like, I want to do this. Oh yeah. Well, you need this, and this. Well, then I don't know how to do this. Well, then our instructional videos will show you how. If you have any other questions, just give us a call back and we'll help you. So they're very, very helpful. Their stuff is very expensive, I must say, because they ship the price is by the weight of the substance. So it's like fluid. So if you have like 32 fluid ounces, could be 4 pounds. It's either 3 or 4 pounds. So if you get like 3 or 4 pounds of mold rubber, you're going to see that in the shipping price. You're going to be like,
yeah,
the shipping price is like more than what the damn thing is worth. And
sometimes it's like that, especially when weight is involved. But those kind of purchases I will make more often once I get moved. Because once I move in May,
right,
I'll have much more financial flexibility and freedom than I've had in a long time. So
okay,
Cool.
They also do something through RJ Reynolds, the RJ Reynolds company. So
cigarette maker.
Well, yeah, they are. Well, RJ Reynolds is they distribute the resins and the mold rubbers and all this other stuff. So they actually have a store in Macungie, Pennsylvania, it's like 30-40 minutes from me. So I can go to the Smooth On store and I could buy all this stuff there. I could buy it on Amazon or I could buy it from their website. But, it's good to go there and see it. And then,
right, yeah.
Like they have like clear resin. They didn't have kryptonite until I showed it to them. So I made some stuff for them. So, let me see if I can.
That's pretty cool. So while you're doing that, let me go ahead and reset the show.
Okay.
This is the Help Desk. It's Tech Tuesday. We're now in the second half of the show. We've been talking the good side of AI, talking 3D, and I am here with my best hostesses ever. You got George, Techno George, and we have the prettiest lady in all of the internets, Miss Transgretchen. So,
AKA Jane Wick.
AKA
Janeway.
AKA Janeway. AKA the Barbie Yaga.
Jane Wick.
We call her Jane Wick because you don't want to mess with her because she is a trained ninja. She is a ninja. For real.
I wrote a book or two once. Yeah. But no, yeah. Well, we were talking about the good side of AI because then we saved the bad side for Star Trek. I mean, last week was the giant.
Was a giant snake face? Was a giant
feed
yes.
Where it would strike you with lightning. And coming up this week is the giant planet-eating robot that looks like a night after Taco Bell. So
yeah, there's that. We get the evil AI.
The cornucopia of death.
Cornucopia of death. Yeah, that's not what Thomas called it, but yeah, it's
That's
cornucopia of death. It's probably a better look for it, especially if you look at the if you're watching like the newer version with the updated effects. It looks so much better.
yes. Yeah, watching the newer version updated in 4K, that's the way to watch it. That's the way to watch
I don't
it.
even have 4K. I've got an LED TV that's almost 8 years old now. But hey, you know what? It looks good, so it doesn't trade.
But hey, even that, still, it looks great. Looks great.
Yeah, I like the enhanced version of the Doomsday Machine because the starship there's a scene where an asteroid actually hits the saucer section of the starship that was destroyed. That William Wyndham's that was Commodore Decker's
the Constellation.
yeah, Constellation.
Yeah.
Let's see. So far, we've had 1, 2, and this will be the third. So coming up on Rules and Requisition this week, it'd be episode 6 of season 2. And of those 6 episodes, 3 will have dealt with evil AI or robots of some sort.
And again, where are all these evil AIs coming from? And why do these people, why did all these, I know why we create evil AI, because we're stupid. So that is that. I understand that. But damn, all over the galaxy? Damn.
All over the galaxy.
All over the galaxy?
Now we're only going to get, I think, maybe 1 or 2 more in this season, but we do get the episode called the Ultimate Computer this season. So like you thought those other AIs were bad. Here comes the ultimate one. It ultimately sucked.
Well, Gene Roddenberry, what are you trying to say about computers back then, man? What are you trying to say about computers, man?
I like the first generation Dyson. I mean, it was a great vacuum. So, the Ultimate Computer episode is actually where you see that device. I actually created that device. I built that. The ray generator energy neutralizer that Spock, created. You'll see that in the episode. It has like a tricorder screen on it, and it has 3 protruding, probes on it, and
you hold it like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. They. I was at work today, and I've been kind of going back and forth between DS9 and Voyager, and I watched Trials and Tribulations today, the DS9 episode where they go back to the Trouble with Tribbles, and
I just hold it. It's like
Cisco's using one at one point.
Oh yeah.
I needed to watch something fun because I finished watching all of the O'Brien Must Suffer episodes, and I was really emotionally exhausted. Shout out to Colin Meaney for all of those amazing episodes, but my God, they are depressing. They are sad. They're just very heavy episodes. I needed something lighthearted, so I'm like, I got to find something fun. Why last night I'm like, hey, let's watch all the bad Brian episodes where they do horrible things.
Now see me, I've been catching up on Enterprise. Still, I've been catching up on that. It's a really good show. I'm surprised that it didn't get it got as much hate as it did. Well, I can understand that because of that song, but other than the song,
the first 3 minutes of the show's opening because of that song.
Because of that song, you just can't get past the song.
You said, Gilbert, they needed the end.
They needed the end at the beginning, and the beginning at the end. That's what they need. Whoever did it, they were dyslexic. They had that shit backwards.
So
that was wrong.
So what is the ship that appears in the asteroid scene in the beginning of Enterprise? Because it's not the NX-01. There's another ship that appears when it's flying through it's flying through some sort of an asteroid base. So it's between Zephram Cochrane's ship,
the Phoenix,
the Phoenix
yeah.
you see, and then there's
Unless it was like an earlier version of the Enterprise before that
It
one
could have
officially
been.
launched.
I'm
but it
checking.
but it
No, I don't need to. I can mute that. I don't need to hear the song.
there's like no lights on, on like the engines, but
I'm looking now. Okay, so
That's the only thing I can think of. Those are like
here
early draft versions of the Enterprise before
we got
Right.
that one
the
used
HMS
officially launched.
Enterprise, British Navy, weather balloon, Spirit of St. Louis. Okay. There's the Enterprise shuttle. Wright brothers, World War II planes, submarines, and Apollo astronauts. Shuttle again. Come on. Is it near the end? Well, it's only. There's that. What was that Martian rover that got stuck on the rock? What was that called? ISS. There's a fictional space shuttle that's never been built before. There's the Phoenix.
the XB.
There's the NX-01. Let's see the designation numbers on there. There's nothing in an asteroid.
No, you didn't see it.
No.
It's
It goes from the fictionalized, futuristic-looking shuttle. There's the Phoenix doing its warp, and then there's the NX-01 flying over the moon. And then it warps away. That's it.
okay. I thought I thought I remember there was a different one.
No, I mean,
Huh?
I do know that in Strange New Worlds, there in its opening, there's a scene with the Enterprise, their version of the Enterprise, flying through various spatial
It's just all
environments.
yeah.
There's asteroid belts and stuff like that. And that's one of my favorite reimaginings of the original Enterprises from Strange.
I want the XB-70. The model that they were flying inside of the Enterprise is was it inside the hangar bay, and I'm like, I want that model because that has it had some sort of like an anti-gravity drive, but it was remote control. The kid's flying it. I think it was Jonathan Archer as a child. His father.
Oh yeah, in
had
the
it.
pilot.
Yeah.
In the pilot episode. That would be a great model to sell.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be, yeah.
Yeah, I'd have
No,
to.
but
I don't know. Maybe we'll just have to do on Rules and Requisition one day. We'll have to do we'll talk all the openings. We'll just watch all the openings of all the shows, and we'll break them down scene by scene.
Got it.
Space Nine is probably the easiest one. Well, that or the original Star Trek, because the original Star Trek is just words in the ship.
Right. So kind of critique them, give them our ranking-ish. Rankings.
Ranking. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll do that. I mean, Enterprise has got. I mean, we don't like the song, but it's pretty involved. Discovery has a very involved one. Strange New Worlds. Obviously,
Yeah.
Next Gen and Voyager's got one that's pretty cool with all the different space environments. Enterprise. Whatever. We'll have fun.
So yeah, that sounds. That's a great idea.
See how these things just come to us? Like,
Great idea.
And we didn't even need an AI assistant. So.
didn't even need
That's
an
it.
AI assistant. No.
Said-
Saved all that money.
couple of people that like their after work extracurriculars just sit down and talk nerdy stuff for a minute. Boom. Great ideas find us.
So right, and I'm not going in for the ocular surgery, so I can have an AI in my eye.
Yeah.
No.
$6 million man.
So I'm not even going to be the $6 man. What are you talking about?
I used to have a friend who, we'd play video games, and he swore up and he's like, okay, video games are never going to be good until I have mind link. Like, my brain is not talking to my hands fast enough and working the controls quick enough and being input to the computer fast enough to do what I want it to be doing. I need instantaneous.
But that defeats the whole purpose of playing the game.
It does.
That defeats the
Yes.
whole purpose of learning that,
It's getting your timing down.
getting your timing down, getting your fighting techniques down. Like
It was just a futuristic, nerdy way of him saying, "I suck."
on Enterprise with not Romulan, the Andorian, who's put into the chair by the Romulans, and he was all hooked up to the thing, but there was like this remote. It was like a remote type of drone, it attacked the Enterprise or something like that. But they found the spaceship they found, I guess, the station where this guy was actually hooked into the seat, and he was an Andorian.
Was it the Andorians, or was it the ones that the albino ones?
Right. It was the albino Andorians, I think it was. Or
Elnar?
The
Okay.
I forget what it's called.
What they were called? Were they the Elnar? No.
What are they, Elnar?
That seems
I know the Romulans were
Anar, the Anar. A-E-N-A-R.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it, the Anar. It kind of reminded me of that.
Subspecies of Andorians native to the northern wastes of Andor.
Right. Couldn't think.
Lilith,
Yeah.
the more you know.
Or I'm thinking of Barkley sitting in the holodeck with the computer, and he's and he's just looking at people. He's not talking. He's just like, and his voice is coming from all around.
Somebody like Barkley got into Starfleet. I don't know.
Well, he was brilliant to begin with.
He
was just
that is true.
Very socially inept, so he was a nerd.
I mean, I get that he was a nerd, but
he's
it just
largely responsible too for helping to get Voyager home, at least getting in contact with him.
Right.
Yeah, but he didn't have to be in Starfleet to do that, though. I'm just saying. But hey, that's just me. That is just me. That is just me.
Are you not a Barkley fan?
I tolerate Barkley. That's the best way I tolerate him.
Is it because of the A-Team show, or?
He was Murdoch.
He was Murdoch, yes.
In the 80s show.
I mean, is it because of that show that you tolerate him in Star Trek?
Because my favorite thing about that show, other than Mr. T, Mr. T was in his prime in that day, was the relationship that him and Murdoch had together. They kind of clashed a lot. And that's saying something, because, I mean, Starbuck was on the show. And I didn't even care about Starbuck on the show. I like the relationship between E.A. Baracus and Mad Murdoch. It's just Mad Murdoch always was making Mr. T want to kill him, and you were always waiting for Mr. T to kill him. But they were teammates. So I want to kill you. And I could kill you, but I'm not going to kill you. And that is my talent. My special power is my restraint. Do not kill you.
So that is my hidden talent. To restrain myself for putting my hands around your throat.
Because he wouldn't even need to. I mean, he could just flick Murdoch, and Murdoch could break into it.
I don't know, because Murdoch was crazy, and so you just can't hurt crazy people like normal. So I don't know.
And I want to be clear that I'm not saying that people with mental disabilities or even developmental disabilities are a sick woman. She turned 18 this year, or last year actually. One of the things we have been completely surprised by. We're talking about a girl who's weighs about 70 pounds. She's skinny as a rail. Because she doesn't fully understand human limitations, she's not necessarily bound by that. And she has expressed or shown us feats of strength and agility that we did not know somebody of her build could perform. Like, say she has a meltdown, and I'm trying to hold her. I'm a trained martial artist in several different martial arts, trying to hold this tiny little woman, and just to keep her from hurting herself. and I'm getting hurt.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the one that's in danger, not her. So it's just when you don't have that concept. Not to say
Yeah.
that she's not smart or she's crazy or something like that. Again, bad terms to use, but when she doesn't fully understand the things, we go into something thinking she doesn't. So
Yeah.
I think
So
that's a big barrier there.
She doesn't understand the laws of gravity yet. So,
No.
and there's
And
She-
the other thing that scares me is that she doesn't really have a sense of danger either. There are some things that she's scared of, like remember one day she was playing in the backyard with the water hose and some toys, and she happened to be sitting on it.
Oh.
It was a bad day. But she's like terrified of flying insects now. Doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
Traffic in the street. You know,
So right, if you've never,
the respect for Starfleet, valid question. I don't know. Probably good test scores. How he advanced in Starfleet, that's
Okay.
even more questionable.
so yeah, I was just thinking. Well, for me, I was just thinking is that how did he get through? How did he get through? You know, basic training. Because I know. How are you going to handle this situation? How are you going to handle whether or not, you know, if you're at warp and, you know, how are you going to... So they got a stress test, and I'm just thinking, it's like, how did he pass that?
That's a good question, and maybe either one of you can answer this. So we did see in one of the episodes of The Next Generation, I would have to look up the title, I don't remember. Remember when Deanna Troi took the command test? She kept failing over and over.
Yeah.
And then she finally won when she sent the hologram of Geordi to go fix something that she knew he would die in the process of doing. And that's how she passed the test. And that was a cool insight into what commanders go through before they get even remotely given the responsibility of commanding a starship, even for a shift.
Yeah.
Let alone being in charge of it.
For years and years and years, and this be your permanent
Have we
post.
ever seen what basic training beyond just like the academy stuff? I mean, I'm not talking testing and Kirk having sex with green women and stuff like that, like they did in the reboots. Like, do we know what boot camp?
Like the actual boot camp
Starfleet
was
looks
supposed
like?
to... No.
Like, what's that first 8 to 16 weeks, however it is? You know, like the basic learning how to march, learning how to take orders, learning how to get
Like,
up
what's
every
that
day at this time and run for 12 miles. You know?
Yeah. What's that first week of basic look like? You know, how do you decide whether or not, you know, you want to...
people who are, who are not in a position to command, because that's basically what Starfleet was looking for, people who can take command, like because there's an episode, I think it's Tapestry, it's called, with Picard, where he dies from the electrolytic thing from his heart, his artificial heart. He's he's stabbed to the heart by the Nausicaans, but then they take him down this path, or actually Q gives him a chance to keep his human heart.
Yeah.
And he basically,
because he made the safe...
but he's in sciences.
Yeah.
He's not in command. And then he's talking to Riker about, he's like going, well, I would really like to be in command. He goes, well, hasn't your entire career been, you've taken the safe
route? Yeah.
Yeah.
He was
like
kind
taking
of
the safe
pathetic.
route.
He was pathetic.
Yeah.
Kind of, really.
And it just reminds, it kind of reminds me, I had proposed that when I joined Starfleet, the club, I was doing Star Trek paintball. So we were doing LARPs, they were called, live action role play.
Yep.
So we were
did that with
actually
Vampire
going on a
the
paintball
Masquerade.
field and having, battles with Klingons. So there'd be a Klingon contingent. There would be we also battled the Borg, and it was very interesting for paintball because if you were a Borg, if you got shot, you went back to your cube, right? You re-energized, you came back. You take 2 hits. You get shot, go back again. They'd have to get you with 3 hits. and then you go back, you get shot. So if it was,
So you're adapting,
right,
to simulate
Right.
them adapting. Like, okay,
Right.
you got me the
Simulate them
first time. Now it takes twice as much to take me down.
right. So
Mhm.
that's how the thing worked. But there were people there who just shouldn't even had a gun. They just shouldn't even have a weapon. They were like shooting each other, shooting in the air, shooting
And
at
that's
trees. I'm like,
That's a
but
good
it's
point, because I'm thinking of like my dad. I talked to my dad. My dad was in the Navy, and I'm not dissing the Navy or any branch of the military, but their firearms training was a 45 pistol, and it lasted about a week.
Yeah.
Most of his boot camp, what he remembers, was learning how to fight fires, which makes sense. You're on a ship at sea. Fighting fires is important. I would think that would be equally important in space. So Starfleet would probably have a very heavy, they're probably all qualified to fight fires. Like, I assume every Starfleet member is a firefighter. but then it wouldn't be, I wouldn't think that it would be as many more challenges. Then yes, maybe on Earth, you're on a boat, you have different challenges, but you're still on Earth. You're still facing, you're not.
right. I mean, it would be, it would be just like, like a basic survival course. But if you were going to go to like the Makos and you were going to be part of an elite squad, you had to know hand-to-hand combat. You had to know, like phaser combat. You had to know, I guess, like military strategies and stuff like that for outer space, for on planet, how to get out of tight situations.
Yeah.
I mean, you're always going to have your special forces. And I just want to say this, one of my favorite Star Trek games, because there's so many and so many are bad.
Was
So
Hazard
these are
Team?
actually Hazard Team
I used to love that.
from Elite Force.
I still have, I still have my elite
Great
force.
game.
Yeah.
That was a great game. And the whole story was that, like, Tuvok was like, hey, we're out here in the Delta Quadrant. We've been fighting the Borg, the Hirogen, all these people. We need to put together a team that can get it done. So basically, Voyager's Hazard Team, which I would have loved to have seen. It was badass. That was a badass game. And it came out when 2000, September 15th, 2000. Wow, 25 years ago. 24, whatever.
The quantum torpedo launcher was my favorite. There's like a quantum torpedo launcher gun that used to just fire quantum torpedoes.
It was the Star Trek equivalent of Doom's BFG. I mean, I'm just going to blast this into a room and everything will die. Okay? So you guys stay back there. I'm going to shoot over there.
So just.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Pac-Man one was
Disturbing.
weird. It was interesting, but it was weird. I did like the Unreal Tournament one, the one with the robots who were
Yeah.
mining.
I remember one of my favorite games on the original PlayStation was Mech Warrior 2. I love that game. I will forever be a Warhawk pilot. Give me the Warhawk.
Yeah.
I'm going in with the big guns.
The new Mech Warrior. I think I was telling Gilbert about it. They got new Mech Warrior on Steam, but they have the other one.
I'll have to
Yeah.
check it out. You remember that one that came out in I think it was probably the early 2000s. It was called Mech Assault, and it came with that giant.
Yeah.
Play it, but I was like, wow, because it was like at the time I'm a 20-year-old kid, 21, 22-year-old kid. I'm working in restaurants, closing down Applebee's at 1 a.m. in the morning. No, I ain't got money for something like that. Sorry. I'm a fry cook. I ain't got money for that. My money's going to the
Right.
alcohol I'm going to drink until 6 a.m. After I get up.
I found a what was it the Sega Game Gear was they have a non-working one for $25 on
I can't fix one, but I want one so bad. I used to.
on Facebook Marketplace. It's like 25 or was it 40? I think it's like $25. It had a non-working screen. I'm like,
I told you I'm moving in May.
Mhm.
I have a PlayStation 4. I'm woefully out of the loop. Pulled out and get a Switch 2, which is like that close to Switch 2. I really want to play games like GTA 6.
Well, by the time I'm 70.
You're right behind me.
By the time you're 70, I'll be dead. I'm young. Come on, I'm 62.
That's what I'm saying.
So that's,
if it's going to take
so listen, man, by the
to be 70 when we get GTA 6, I'm never going to see Red Dead 3. I'm never going to see Red Dead 3.
See, I'm never going to see Elder Scrolls 6.
Elder Scrolls 6.
I'm never going to see that.
What was it? Rockstar just recently, I don't know, in the last everybody.
Oh.
Everybody's
wow.
on GTA 6 now. They pulled everybody because they announced like there will be no further updates to RDR2 at all. Not just online game, which they've already ended support for. There will be no updates to the game. And that's something like it goes and like think about the TikTok ban. Like people are like, well, TikTok ban doesn't mean anything. Just don't delete it from your phone. But you won't get access to updates either.
Yeah.
Over time, the app will eventually become unusable.
So yeah.
VR. Like, don't do this to me. Like the one game, like on
and create the black hole.
I haven't had that problem yet. I've tried. I've been in different places. Look, I've kicked the meditating monk off the cliff. The guy that calls you over to say, "Hey, look at this dead body down here at the bottom of the cliff. How do you think you got there?" I'm like, "I don't know." Boom, push him off the same way you got there. I mean, I don't know. Like, I have killed every person in that game in every way possible. And this was in older versions where I'd be like ransacking a house and opening up drawers and looking for stuff, and all of a sudden my dude's just falling through the air like in the middle of nowhere, and I'm like, "What's happening? What's happening?" I'm falling, and then next thing you know, I just appear somewhere randomly in the map, and my horse is on the other side of the map. So I'm running. He's out of whistling range, so I'm running until I find some random dude riding by on a horse. I'm like, okay, I got to kill you and take your horse now. So I
did that with No Man's Sky. There was a glitch like that in No Man's Sky where I was on board a derelict hyperspace. You'd get this little warning, get a little flashing beacon, right. And then you would stop and you'd come out of warp, and there'd be this, it'd be like an asteroid field or like a debris field. You go search the debris field and you find this giant ship. And I was on the ship. I'm walking around, and I went down this. I must have gone down, like a ladder or something like that, right? I went down the ladder, and my character's going,
right,
what? And then all of a sudden, it went. I guess he must have fallen through the chute, like the ladders, and not hit. He eventually hit bottom, but I was on the bottom of the ship, but I was in I was in outer space, and I was like, I said, this has to be a glitch, and I couldn't move like into it. So then
that reminds me. So like and I know you guys remember this. The first time I ever played Doom, Knee Deep in the Dead came on a 3.5-inch floppy as a free addition to, I don't know, Popular Mechanics or whatever computer magazine I was reading at the time. It came in the mail. The first 9 episodes, the first 9 levels of Doom.
PC Mag, I think it was, wasn't it?
PC Mag, something like that, right? This was back in the day before AOL or anything like that. If you wanted to get online, you went on like a local BBS that maybe had like 6 or 8 phone lines. And I found this editor. It was called Doomed. It was spelled DOOM capital ED. So Doom. The clipping errors from that, like something would happen, and then you'd be like in the middle of this white field, and you turn around, and you see this spot far away, and you start running towards it, and it's actually your level, and you see it getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And just, how did I get way over here? And my level's over there. I'm in some kind of like video game limbo right now. Like, what's happening? But like, you have to log into these BBSs, and it would take you like 6 hours to download it. It was just.
Yep.
Oh my
It was
god,
a level
yeah.
editor
25.
software. It was very cool though, and I made some very cool. I remember I made a map of my work at the time. I worked at. This was a. We were talking about this earlier, like old tech. I worked at. I was in charge of the build department for a laptop construction company, for a company called Winbook, and I remember like this was at the time like the 75 megahertz processor overheating during the era of X-Wing Simulator.
Oh,
My laptop signed out to me from work was just powerful enough to play that game. Oh my god, I love that game. I love that game so much. But anyway, yeah, that's what I was playing it on because AOL was not a thing yet. 91,
no,
90,
no, it was
92,
not.
No.
93. I think AOL came out 94, 95, somewhere like that.
Around in that time, I think.
94, I think it was, because I was in Computer City '95, and there was a lot of AOL.
Let's see. And of course it'd be just the CDs that just randomly hanging up in stores. You know,
We
You
had
could go
so
every hour after that was like $7.
It's like
we had
crap.
pallets
what?
of them at Computer City. I mean, we had like four pallets stacked high with just AOL discs. I was like, what are we gonna do with these things? Like, I don't know.
I racked up on my very first account when I got addicted to it and like so like excited about it because I used to play like role playing games like Vampire the Masquerade in the chat rooms.
Mm-hmm.
I had to cancel a bank. I had to close a bank account because I knew that like on the 3rd when my AOL bill comes out, oh crap, I ain't got the money for that. I don't make that much money because I played like 500 hours that month. Like I don't know.
I never had AOL. I had a service that was before AOL. It was called Prodigy.
Remember?
I had Prodigy.
I never
Prodigy
used
was
it,
my
but I remember it.
online
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, because I used Prodigy and
Netscape.
Netscape, AOL,
Navigator.
Netscape Navigator. Yeah, yeah. Oh.
When GeoCities was like, you can make your own website with us. Oh,
I love
and
GeoCity.
then Yahoo was like, hold our beer.
Right.
Netscape.
God.
Navigator.
Oh yeah.
Well,
But I do miss Netscape Navigator.
Oh, it did. I mean, and a lot of people believe that like AOL was like the internet. It wasn't the internet. It was a self-contained system. They had a web browser. It was called Web Crawler because I remember if you clicked on it, it had some stupid animation of a
Of a spider.
spider in the
Spider.
web. Yeah.
Mhm.
with it blinking its eyes. Like I was like, okay. But then I mean, we're talking about days when like you'd meet people online, like, hey, what do you look like? Okay, well, give me a day and a half. I'll send you a picture. It took me that long to upload.
It's like, right?
Give you a day and a
Then you get into like Kazaa and LimeWire.
Oh yeah.
And
I'm gonna down.
the song and about 5 other viruses along with it.
Right. What I remember was the first video I tried to download was that Star Wars fan film called Troopers.
Oh,
With the
Yeah.
Boys
Yeah,
song.
Mhm.
And they respond to the domestic disturbance at the Lars Ranch and or the farm and
Yeah.
shows them killing to download that over
Wow.
Kazaa. And the thing about Kazaa and LimeWire was that they used multiple sources.
Yeah.
They would download
Yeah.
pieces from multiple sources so that you could download it faster. That was faster. Like if
Yeah.
I was downloading it from one source, it probably would have taken a month.
yeah. Like if you were downloading
Oh, yeah.
like a torrent, but it was
Torrent, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
the
If you
torrent.
download for the
Yeah.
torrent, but get this. When I first got high-speed data and first I was like, you can't tell me shit now. I can download this shit in less than an hour. And before it would take me days.
See, that was a good thing about working at Intel because I had a T3
Mhm.
line in my lab, and I would always try to delete the history and get the history out, but then there was a server that would basically look at everything and take snapshots of everything. I'm like, and he goes, "Did you download this thing?" Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, "Yeah, I did." He goes, "Why didn't you save me a copy?" I was like, "I have a copy for you." I said I made all these discs for you. Like, so I would make like discs for him and discs for me, and downloading stuff. But yeah, because we had FTP sources
Right.
of Intel in Israel, and they would grab all that stuff and put it in.
Oh wow.
That server just dry snitching on you. That server just snitching on you.
And even with Kazaa and LimeWire when they were a thing, the thing that made them innovative is that like they were downloading from 5 sources, a file from 5 sources. If one was weak, it would drop that one.
Yeah.
And look for a stronger source.
Right.
So they were innovative. I mean, but also
because it took a different approach to
they were the
kind of
Napster of software.
Well, it paved the way for like file sharing. So even though they kind of it did it in a very piracy and illegal way, but I mean it did set the way for file sharing.
You wouldn't have Spotify.
No, we wouldn't have Spotify.
If Napster never existed.
We wouldn't have YouTube Music. We wouldn't have just even Google Docs or Apple Podcasts or anything like that. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
None of that.
So we have in the house Jeff Kennedy, who just got married. So how's married life?
Jeff Kennedy, Mr. Kennedy, how are you, sir?
Seem to have gotten carpal tunnel here. It's very heavy. I can barely hold it up. His fingers turned purple. Some type of aluminium poisoning running through my. I'm good. Just wanted to say hi to you all. George was nice enough to share the login, so I stole it, and I wanted to say hello and welcome back, and maybe welcome back to myself because I took a hell of a long time off between Christmas and wedding and all that fun stuff. But hello to you all.
Hello,
everybody as well. A very belated Happy New Year, but I hope everybody's okay and doing well.
Yep, we're doing great.
Yeah. Doing great, Jeff.
Doing great. Beginning with the with Dwayne and the very multifunctional Star Trek communicator.
Say yes with the.
How many more of those things?
AI assistant.
They actually shaped it that way.
Oh my god!
Oh my god! That would go.
I'd be wearing one right
those
now.
Those would instantly just sell out all the time. They would sell out all the time.
Broadcasting this show from his, we'd be logging through hours.
So look, I would. So no, look, I would.
Projection of him on.
So no, I would live stream everything everywhere.
I'd be like, thank you, Gilbert, for inviting me to the show today.
So no, I would live stream everything from off of that.
I can only make this because I've known George for so long. I could pull the pin up and say, and get all the intelligent stuff out, get the big points.
Look, I'm just saying,
version.
That man needs to get on his game because with this, like, project onto your hand, we are like one step away from just tapping on our wrist thing and projecting a screen. Becker, your character just ain't gonna last in the next century.
And actually, right now we do. There are the little holographic 3D pictures, so to speak, where it displays like that, but it's not anything where you can wear, but it's like a little display thing, like just a regular picture frame, but it's shows the images in 3D.
Like, because we know that the 3D. They call them holograms that they've tried to use like in an entertainment from an entertainment perspective haven't quite worked. So I thought we were at a conference with Dwayne in DC in mid-September, I think it was. And I just kept staring at this very large lapel pin. And I just finally was like, what is this thing? Am I, are we recording all of this? What are we doing? He's like, well, I could. Let me show you everything. And I can do it. And then he just started showing it off. And I'm like, that's a piece of tech I don't know that I need, but I know that I want it because I can. So I can just that when you're in a group of people and you can just go, let me check my double, triple times 10. No. But would I show it off if I had it rather smugly? Yes, absolutely. I completely would. But if it was shaped like the kind of offset arrow star with either the circle
Arrowhead,
bars
the
behind
Starfleet,
it or whatever,
the Starfleet Arrowhead. Yep.
then I'd probably sell a kidney. My kidneys suck anyway. I don't know who would buy them, but I would sell. I don't tell anybody that my kidneys are breaking.
Mine aren't so great either, but at least I've got two.
They're full of stones and failing as we speak. But other than that, I'd probably try.
You say you got a couple kidneys that are slightly used, Jeff?
Yeah, overused.
And as soon as somebody comes up here now,
Yeah.
So, right?
Well, would you like? I will tell you something that is
emergency transport.
Right, emergency transport. Out of this date.
Interchangeable. Science has already determined that that's completely factual. They are interchangeable. Transporter technology is we're perfectly capable of it. It's not a terribly difficult thing to build, to completely
not only just
and store.
Just think of the sheer number
body.
Think of the sheer number of atoms that are in a body that you would have to transport.
And the energy. The energy is the problem. He also talked once about a lightsaber. We could make a lightsaber perfectly fine.
Forever.
Ad infinitum. There's never an end to it except when the energy itself disperses. It's the science fiction part of the lightsaber is the tip of the sword. That it either bends back upon itself or knows, or the inherent technology that knows to only make it a certain distance.
Yeah, I think Hacksmith.
On the power source too. It would last about 2 seconds.
Oh, well, see, but there's a group of YouTubers that are called Hacksmith, and they've developed a
tungsten, tungsten one, which I thought.
But they're wearing a backpack that looks like a Ghostbusters proton pack, and
they have
a huge cord that connects to it.
Well, see, here's the thing: they've changed that. They've actually upgraded because that was their proto saber, mini lightsaber, so to speak. Difference is that on the proto saber one of the proto saber ones is that they actually had a bar or blade, almost like a blade.
It had a bar that heated up.
Yeah.
Right.
So that determined the length.
To determine the length of it.
Jeff was saying, not just turning on a flashlight and the light goes on until it
just.
It brings to mind the episode of Rick and Morty where he makes him the lightsaber and he drops it. I made him a lightsaber.
He dropped it vertically. He dropped it completely vertically.
Give some credit to Star Wars that apparently lightsabers have some internal safety device that when you drop it, they always turn off.
You're right.
Yeah, it shuts. Right? Yeah. So only thing I can think of it to that, I used to think that for whatever reason that whoever's lightsaber it was, they used the Force in order to, use the lightsaber.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, that's what I always thought. Don't know why, don't ask me. I just that was just me.
Well, that was a big thing about lightsaber combat in Star Wars. They used to say, like, you watch the original series, and it's basically they're just pounding on each other like they were holding claymores or something.
Yeah.
They're just pounding on each other. And then you get into the prequels, and they're dancing like ballerinas and flipping and all that stuff. But they'd always said that, like, lightsabers were supposed to be heavy and hard to wield. Right. And using the Force allowed them to do it. And then all of a sudden, they're just it's nothing. They just twirl them all around and do fancy stuff.
Well, that's like the dark saber, the Mandalorian. Like when he's using it,
it gets heavier and heavier.
He's trying to swing it like an axe, and when Bo-Katan Kryze uses it,
she's able to use it like
you can't use it like an axe. It's not an axe. It's a sword. She
uses it like a foil if she were a
fencer.
Yeah.
So. And I think that's what the Master Forger said something to the Mandalorian is that you're not using it right. That's why you're having such problems with
armor,
it.
Yeah.
The armor, yeah. He said you're not using it right.
And again, being nerds, whenever you're watching sci-fi, suspension of disbelief is a skill you must possess.
Oh,
You have to. You have to. Otherwise, you will be just like Neil deGrasse Tyson and
You'll pick everything
constantly
apart because
just
you have no
pick everything
imagination.
apart because you're just like, well, that doesn't abide by the law of physics.
Oh, so
Like,
now you want to obey the laws of physics. Oh.
The only sci-fi movie
So
he's ever given
literal.
a thumbs up to is what, Interstellar. That's like the only one where he's like,
Interstellar,
okay,
yeah.
this one did it right.
No,
Yeah.
no, I don't want to ruin the rest of your show with an ignite drop a smoke bomb in here and run away, but because I do have to get ready for my own program. But that's why I always preferred Star Trek to anything else. Even though I watched all of it, I watched Space 1999 and Buck Rogers and all the Star Wars and Galactica and all of it. Is that, and honestly, I think even maybe the sci-fi reboot of Galactica was even a little as like raw and dirty as it was, and I mean dirty as in like gritty. It may have almost been even a slight touch less believable because here they were firing essentially machine guns with bullets, but somehow had mastered faster than light travel. But all of that said, I always thought that I mean, it's just
They're like, we're about
I
to
always thought
jump
that-
to another solar system, but let's fire on
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
first.
But we're gonna shoot shoot essentially a beefed up AR-15. But that said, I always
Yes.
felt like Star Trek was history that hadn't happened yet, because it never really seemed terribly far-fetched to me. Even in the maybe the only thing that might have been close would possibly be Babylon 5, because when they do some of the historical look-backs in Babylon 5, they show them in the ships all buckled in because they didn't have gravity plating and things like that. And the larger ships have that center section that spins, which is creating the gravity field throughout the ship. Like Babylon 5 itself spins to create gravity, things like that. But I always thought Star Trek was history that hadn't happened yet, at the same time obviously being very far into the future, because it talks about World War III and the nuclear holocaust, and we barely made it through, and we dug ourselves out and that kind of thing. And even the technology, as far advanced as it was, almost made sense. Sure, we had telephones, but now we could pull out this little device and talk to each other over great distances, and we could travel faster than light. Well, of course, because we were traveling, these massive distances between the stars. And even Star Trek we didn't hop galaxies. We had a corner of our own because our galaxy's so large, we didn't get past those borders yet. Like there was a when people still took showers, they took a sonic shower, but they took showers, and had multiple sets of uniforms. And when they did replicate food, they replicated ice cream and roast beef and potatoes and like things like that. Like not those colored like clay things that like it looked like they were eating Play-Doh in the 60s. But I mean, and George remembers like those weird, whatever those things were.
Cubes,
those cubes of whatever. I don't know.
Cubes.
You notice they would get them out of there and like almost never eat them. You get like, because they probably couldn't pay those actors enough to eat whatever that Play-Doh was. But that said, it was like when they replicated dinner, it was roast beef and potatoes.
We talked
Like
about
Scotty
Play-Doh
drank-
food on last week's episode of Rules
Yeah.
and Requisition. We talked
Like,
about Play-Doh food.
Yeah.
He drank scotch,
Yes.
right? You know what I mean? Like Kirk drank coffee. Like it was still.
Yep.
Well, so did Janeway for that matter. But it was still.
Especially
It just seemed like we were still humans, and we were still a society, and we did things. Scotty played the bagpipes. You know what I mean? Like it was still.
You still had those elements of where it's not completely.
Ignited that debate with 5 minutes left,
Yeah.
but that's just gave you. I just gave you next week. Carry that into next week. That'll hold you over.
Oh, it'll come up. It'll come up on.
Oh no, we'll
I'm sure.
we'll probably touch on that again on Rules and Requisition. So
There you go.
Or Model Citizen.
Oh, Model Citizen too. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Come up this Saturday.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting me crash, gang. I got to get
Sure, no
ready
problem.
to and thanks for the massive lead in. I hope a tenth of these people stay and hang into our show. We return for the first time since I don't even know what the last show was. I give up. I'm even trying to remember the date. We've been away for about 3 weeks. Look forward to being back. We kick off again in about 5 minutes. So we'll see you then. Thanks for letting me crash for a couple minutes. Guys are the
No
best.
problem.
Sure, man. Welcome back anytime.
Nothing better than a GCPR fan.
Bye.
Period.
That's
End of
it.
story. Nothing better.
Jeff, bye.
Oh, nice. Nice. I just have 2 points to make. Thank you.
No
All right, Jeff. Take care. I appreciate you. So on that note, I guess we're going to head it in this show. And so it's been fun. We were talking about the good parts of AI, the bad parts of AI, some games, some wishes, some 3D dreams, and some pitfalls. But anyways,
Star Trek, lightsabers, everything.
we talked about lightsabers, a
modeling.
little bit of everything.
We covered I don't know. We covered the gambit. There you go. Covered the gambit.
Yeah,
of
we did.
everything.
That we did.
Without actually Gambit being involved.
That's true.
That is true.
That's very good.
So next time we can't do this. We have to have Gambit on. We can't allow to run the Gambit without Gambit. We need Gambit.
I had a hunch you'd say that.
Just like you can't commit transgressions without transgressions.
Exactly. I'm glad we have these Mel Brooks jokes.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'll be here all week. No, don't get up. I'll see myself out.
hey. So we've got coming up next. What's it?
TKE tonight.
TKE tonight. I can't. Why is it I always have trouble remembering Jeff's? Except for the Kennedy effect, I always forget the TK tonight with Jeff Kennedy. After that, we've got Hurricane Girls. Yes, Tuesday. Yes, Tuesday, Hurricane Girls. And then after that, we have got conversations with T. Nathan. Would be ended out tonight. So
He's busy.
we got a full night ahead. A lot of stuff that's happening. Got a lot of great conversations coming up. And so stick around. Listen. The show is brought to you in part by cns-computers.com. Take your computers down there, get them fixed. Servicing the Stroudsburg and East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania area. Go down, get your stuff fixed, get an upgrade, or just go down and say hi. Tell them George sent you. You might not get a discount, but hey, at least they'll know George sent you. That's all I'm saying. So, on that one.
Claim. No, you won't know.
So on that one, I will say to everybody, George, Gretchen, always great time to have you all here.
Thank you, sir.
And everybody, good night. Take care.